Boris Johnson should walk away from trade talks with the EU rather than offer a compromise, the overwhelming majority of Express readers have declared. In a poll conducted by Express, 95% of voters demanded the Prime Minister walks away from trade talks with the EU rather than be forced to compromise. Only 5% of those polled said Mr. Johnson should try and work out an agreement with his EU counterparts. 0% of those polled said they didn't know. The poll was conducted from 1 August at 6:35 p.m. and the results were concluded on 2 August at 1 p.m. A total of 16,482 were polled, with those who voted yes coming in at 15,576 and no votes coming in at 833. Only 73 of those polled voted don't know. One Express commentator said, "There can be no compromise. Freedom, independence and sovereignty are absolutes. No deal. WTO and closed borders." Another said, "The UK has compromised for 45 years, so why should we compromise anymore? Out now WTO and no fishing access." And one more said, "WTO rules work for me and no EU strings or trapdoors." The UK could achieve just 60% of its demands in EU trade talks. But the UK's Brexit negotiator is still confident the UK can walk away with an acceptable deal. A Conservative source told the Sunday Times, "His view seems to be that we will get a deal, but he doesn't seem to be completely thrilled with what it is likely to be. When people hear that we are getting 60% of what we want, the question on everyone's lips is, what is the 40% we are giving away? If the UK were to walk away from making a trade deal, there would be tariffs and other trade barriers brought into force after the transition period ends on 31 December 2020. The EU is unlikely to allow UK businesses to unfettered access to European markets unless the UK agrees to abide by the bloc's rules and regulations." Another area of contention is access to fishing waters around the UK. The UK's fishing fleet has been decimated by years of lack of investment and may have to lease out its fishing areas to its EU rivals until it can rebuild. Now if talks do fail, the UK will have to make a trade agreement with the EU under the basic rules set by the World Trade Organization (WTO). This would see tariffs applied to most goods which UK businesses send to the EU, making UK goods more expensive and harder to sell in Europe. The UK has so far secured some trade agreements with countries outside of the EU. But they amount to only 8% of the overall trade volume. The EU is by far the biggest trading region for the UK.